Good evening, Twitch.tv. Good evening, everyone, or any time zone where you might be joining us from. My name is Misinformation, and I'm the host of our show right here on 2MB Studios called That Sounds Right. That Sounds Right is a trivia game show where it doesn't matter who's right, it just matters who's sounds right, who is sounding. It matters who is sounding right. That's what matters most here. With me, as always, is my co-host, Will. Will, welcome to the show.
Hello, Misinformation. It doth matter who soundeth the most right, and it doth also mattereth who is righteth. Here on That Sounds Right. Welcome, everybody. My favorite night of the week. So glad to be here with you all.
I'm so glad to have you, Will. Will, do you want to tell the audience a little bit about what you do here on the show?
Yes, my role is to be the fact checker, the truth teller, the truth sayer. Misinformation, as you know, will be fielding all the questions and trying to figure out which one she thinks sounds the most right. I will come in after she's already done all the hard work and just tell you all what the right answer is.
Fantastic.
And often get my heart broken. But who's counting?
Who's counting how many times your heart's been broken on the show? And who's counting how many times I've been right? It's probably very few, but that's really just not what counts to me, Misinformation. Now, Will, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to bring on our contestants. Let's do it. First up, we have Michelle. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Hello, Misinformation. Happy to be here.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. How are you doing tonight?
I am excellent, thank you. Had a good Monday at work.
Fantastic. Things great. I'm really happy to hear that, Michelle. I want to know, Michelle, what is your strategy going into this game tonight?
I like to channel the energy of Ben Stiller on the Vintage show. Ben Stein, not Ben Stiller. Ben, whoever his name is money. It was a TV show. Anyway, he was very smart. I can't even get his last name right. But I'm going to channel Ben Stein and Ben Stiller. Bring that energy of like, I know what's up. And you're going to be completely enthralled with all my answers, I'm certain.
Wow. Michelle, I can't wait for that. You know, you sound confident, and I have to say that confidence is the name of the game around here, because what we discover here on the show is that sounding right is a little bit about what you say, but mostly about how you say it. Don't you think that's true?
Yes, 100%. And actually, I'm a teacher, so I can 100% confirm that is true. Wow. If you say it with enough authority, you can get into VIP. You can get a whole class to believe whatever you want.
Absolutely. Michelle, I have definitely found that to be true. And I'm now excited to be hearing it from a real and true teacher. The most important job in the world. You're here on the show, and that proves it, Michelle.
It's true. It
sounds right. I'm going to bring on our next contestant here. We've got Kayleigh in the house.
Hi,
Kayleigh. Welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here, Kayleigh. I just asked Michelle about her strategy tonight going into the game. Do you have a strategy? Do you have anything that you think is going to help you, that's going to put you on top tonight?
Right, of course. Thank you for asking. I would say my strategy would be unhinging my limited consciousness, tapping into the hive mind of all things on a cosmic level, and unnecessarily verbose, right? Thesaurus style, words. So if I know kind of a 3-syllable SAT word and I'm lacing that in, someone's leaning further towards me and is becoming on my side. And I think that's really going to be my strategy. I heard mention of style, and I can only say that that is as a style. Style, great.
It absolutely is, Kayleigh. It absolutely is a style. I think that verbosity.
Verbiosity.
Verbiosity. It is a style in itself. It's a style of speaking. It's a style of competition.
That's
and
Thank you.
And, around here, it wins points. We've witnessed this before on the show,
Well, then this feels like home.
I'm so glad. I'm really glad to hear that. Now, audience members, we've got a third contestant here as well in the studio. We've got Alani joining us. Alani.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Hello. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on. We're excited to have you. We are going to be playing a little trivia show here that I'm going to introduce to the audience in just a second, but it's good to have you. Alani, how are you feeling coming into tonight? Do you have a strategy that you're going to employ? Do you have any confidence going in tonight that's going to help you?
I do have confidence, but I don't have a plan, so I'm just going to wing it.
Alani, that's probably the best attitude that you can have on this show. That is the way to win this one, I've got to say. Audience members, we are going to dive into our first question here. And in a moment, I'm gonna read a question to these contestants. One of these contestants is going to be giving me a correct answer that they have planned to give. The other two are going to be making up an answer completely on the spot with no idea to what the question is about to be. With that said, we have to decide who we think sounds the most right. And on this show, of course, contestants only get points for sounding right, not actually for being right, as much as Will actually would have me hope. Our first question this evening is, what is the cause of most power outages in the U.S. and why? For our first answer to that question, what is the cause of most power outages in the U.S. and why? I'm going to be coming to Kayleigh first. Kayleigh, what is the cause of this phenomenon?
All right. One word, one syllable, squirrels. I'm telling you, folks, you heard of Girls Gone Wild. I'm talking about squirrels gone wild. I'm talking about these squirrels are having at the electrical power systems. They are tunneling and they're chewing at electrical installation, and they're damaging transmission lines, and they are wreaking havoc on the U.S. electrical grid. And the deputy director of the National Security Agency himself has said that squirrels are the number one threat to the U.S. electrical grid.
Wow, the number one threat to the grid is squirrels.
Someone's got to say it.
I never would have guessed it, but Kayleigh, that sounds right to me. That could absolutely be true. Alani, let's go to you next. What answer do you have for us?
Men, because they're always messing things up and leaving you in the dark.
I take mine back.
That
sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah. That, Alani, you don't even need to back up that answer. That absolutely sounds right.
Okay,
Brian
cool.
Michael in the chat says Alani watched last week. That was also a common theme of last week's episode. If you didn't catch it live, you can watch it on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/2MB Studios. But first, Michelle, let's hear your answer.
Well, both of those answers are partially true. It's actually floods. So with climate change and all of this stuff, it used to be squirrels actually, but in the last 4 years, almost like it was related to somebody's presidency, climate change changed everything, and now it's floods.
Okay, and now Michelle, as we know, climate change can cause flooding in many parts of the U.S. Is this the top reason across the entire U.S., across the entire country?
Yes, because the Midwest has ponds, but it's really just the outer sides.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's enough Michelle on the edges to do the flooding for the whole. I'm not saying it right. That doesn't sound right. No. So what it is that the coastal there's the word. The coastal areas flood enough that it overtakes even the middle area. It rounds it out.
I see. Now, I have the chat is feeling very confidently towards Kayleigh right now. I have to say, Kayleigh, your answer of squirrels is really ringing true to a lot of people in the chat and their personal experiences. Now, before I make my call, Alani's answer was men. I know that men are everywhere. Michelle's answer is flooding. We've heard about how flooding is everywhere. Kayleigh, I have to know, do squirrels exist in all parts of the country? Because I know I see squirrels everywhere, but I've never been to, say, Kansas. Are there squirrels out there?
Oh, there are squirrels lurking in every which way recess of this united country. I tell you, honestly, and I also know that the American the Public Power Association actually has a special squirrel index to track squirrel activity around the nation, their patterns of behavior, the timing of the year which they hit hardest. And that's a fact.
Okay. Kayleigh, listen.
Just because you say that's a fact and do finger guns does not make it a fact, Kayleigh.
It does not make it so. I think it does.
I appreciate the confidence of your finger guns, though.
Kayleigh, you sound confident. The chat is supporting your answer. You had a lot of details. You named someone at the helm of the power grid. We're gonna go ahead and give you 5 points, Kayleigh, for an answer that sounds right, which is squirrels wreaking havoc on the grid, on the electrical system of the U.S.
Well, actually, here, squirrels just want to have fun. That's the correct answer.
Wow, we're off to a strong start tonight. Although I will say, I have to imagine that men are also a close second or third on that list.
Most squirrels are men, right? They're male squirrels, right? So it tracks for me.
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. We're getting a yes from our contestants on that. Our second question in the first round is, what does it mean to tickle the dragon's tail? Tickle the dragon's tail. You might have heard this phrase before. What does it mean? Alani, I'm coming to you first on this one. What does it mean to tickle the dragon's tail?
Okay, so basically what it means is you need to use your chopsticks properly. And if you don't, everybody's going to make fun of you. Because what are you doing? You look stupid. You can't hold chopsticks. Tickle the dragon's tail. Hold the chopsticks with confidence. All right?
Oh.
Otherwise, you don't deserve to eat your sushi or whatever it is that you're eating.
I see. So it's sort of it's a training phrase.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Yep. That makes sense. You know, a lot of people struggle with chopsticks.
I am one of them.
So personal experience. That, you know, you're already convincing me, Alani. A personal experience always goes a long way with me, misinformation. Michelle, I'm going to come to you next. What does it mean to tickle the dragon's tail?
It actually means when you put a bunch of nuclear material close together, as close as you possibly can without causing it to be a critical nuclear chain reaction.
Okay, what so in order to not cause a nuclear chain reaction.
Right. So you're just tickling them close together like a dragon's tail, kind of tempting the fates, but not causing, you know, a Hiroshima Part 2.
Right. You know, actually, Michelle, that makes sense because dragons can be very destructive.
Yeah. They'll mess your stuff up. And there's lots of fire.
Okay. I see the connection, Michelle. I see the connection. Big energy tonight, says Radish Brett in the chat. Thank you, Radish Brett. Let's go to Kayleigh. Kayleigh, what's your answer?
Okay, so I just want to clarify that I'm going to let you know what it is. So as someone, you know, so this is actually a turn of phrase used by those who are experts in training Komodo dragons. So Komodo dragons, those bad boys get up to 10 feet long and sometimes up to 330 pounds. So what you need is you got to finesse it. And part of building trust with a Komodo dragon is sort of tickling the underbelly at the crux, at the crux of the torso and the tail. It's a crotchular region, but it's not sexual. And what you're going to do is you're going to go in there and just caress the Komodo dragon and then feed it a piece of food. and you're building trust, and it's part of a training practice with Komodo dragons. So Tickle the dragon, you know.
So it's a okay. So Kayleigh, in your book, this is a literal phrase, a very literal phrase that you are actually tickling a dragon's tail in the what you call the crotchular area. Yes, thank you. As a training technique.
Yeah, and that was the correct spelling of crotchular in the chat. So I'm glad we're on the same page.
I'm glad to hear it. Listen, all of these answers, for the most part, make sense to me. I think all of them have their merits. I think the one on this question that is standing out to me and the chat, you know, I love to go with the chat. I love to get the input of the chat on these questions. And me and the chat, I think, are in agreement on this, that Michelle's answer really gave me, I was confused at first, Michelle. I wasn't on the way with you there. But when I realized that tickling a dragon's tail would be a way to like tempt destruction, as kind of a metaphor, it started to really hit home for me. Yeah. That a lot of people believing you in the chat, Michelle. We're going to go with our gut on that one. I'm going to give 5 points to Michelle for tickling the dragon's tail, which is going to... Okay. Yes,
Will actually here. And that's correct.
Wow.
Tickling the dragon's tail. Way to go.
Learn something new every day.
The Manhattan Project in the 1940s is the one that like made it like a phrase in the United States.
Wow. I you know, I've never heard that before, Michelle, but it was really exciting for me to hear and to learn. You know?
It's such a weird phrase for what it is.
Wait, which one's the right answer?
Putting nuclear stuff close together.
Oh my god, I thought it was Kayleigh's.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sad it's not Kayleigh's, to be honest.
So it's not? I was sitting here like, oh wow.
I don't know. I felt
Kayleigh,
like
you've got a point from Alani, but not a point from me, unfortunately, for that question. But
okay.
But we still have one more question in just the first round. We're just at the start of our game here. The third question in the first round is, who named the planet Pluto? Who named it? And who named it Pluto? I'd love to know. We're going to go to Michelle first on this one. Michelle, who named the planet Pluto?
It's actually the sister, the unmarried sister of the man who founded plutonium on the what's it called? The scale, the thing that has all the 52 elements on it. Periodic table.
Oh, the periodic table.
Oh man, I like can't remember words. It's the sister. Her name was Claudia. So Claudia, Pluto.
Her last name was Pluto?
Yeah, they always name them after themselves. So plutonium was her brother's creation.
Right, because they share a last name. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. His name was Jeremy.
So Jeremy Pluto found plutonium.
Yes.
Named it after himself on the periodic table.
Yes.
Also found Pluto and then said to his sister, you know what? Go ahead and name the planet. And she said, I'm going to name it after myself. Pluto.
Yeah.
Michelle, I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to go to Kayleigh next. Kayleigh, what's your story? Who named the planet Pluto?
So there was an archbishop in it was north. It was the North Pole. So kind of a very icy. So an archbishop in the North Pole, because Pluto is, of course, a very icy dwarf outer planet. So the archbishop named it Pluto, which was a sort of mischievous, a mischievous character in the kind of religious text of this bishop's spiritual realm. So yeah, so we have an archbishop in the North Pole.
Okay. So Kayleigh's answer is an archbishop in the North Pole. Michelle's answer is Claudia Pluto. I can't wait to hear Alani's answer. Alani, who named the planet Pluto?
So actually it was an 11-year-old girl named Venetia Burney Fair, and they were just struggling to figure out what to name this new planet that they found. They're like, well, what do we name the little guy? And I believe she was a daughter of one of the scientists or something. I'm actually not sure how they knew her, but Venetia named Pluto because she just felt like it felt right. So
that's a really sweet story, and I'm seeing mixed reactions in the chat. But I will say Michelle's answer was Claudia Pluto, and I gotta be honest, it just doesn't sound right to me. Kayleigh's answer was an archbishop of the North Pole, which Kayleigh,
that's bold.
Just doesn't sound right to me.
You can look it up.
Well, I'm sure will do it for me, but I am going, and it looks like the chat is backing me on this as well. I'm going to give 5 points to Alani for that answer.
Yay! That is the right answer.
Yes!
Will actually here.
Ooh.
And it's the right answer. She's right. 11-year-old girl named Pluto at the time. Well done.
11-year-old girl. I'm so happy I know that. Will actually loves when I get the answers correct, because Will actually, of course, is a fan of the truth. He's a fan of facts. He's a man of hard statistics, etc. And so Will loves to see points go to people who are actually giving the correct answer. Me, though, I'm misinformation, so I really couldn't give a care if I get the answers right. I of course am just trying to give answers to those who sound right, and of course according to the chat, the chat at large, who also has been on the whole very correct this evening. So kudos to the chat. Before we move on to our next round, I'm going to go to Kayleigh. Kayleigh, you're doing great so far. We have a tied game. It's 5-5 at the end of the first round. How are you doing? Is there anything that you want to share with the audience?
Well, let's see. Yeah, so I'm feeling good. Neck and neck here. So it's a good competition. So it's a good game. It's a good game. The game's afoot, as Sherlock would say. So today I'm doing just all right. Yeah, doing okay. I went to the eye doctor, and they dilated my pupils to get a good look at the nerve. So the light, I got a sort of a heightened light sensitivity right now. But yeah, man.
Wow. Well, Kayleigh, I have to say, it doesn't seem to be affecting your game. You're playing with the best of them. You're doing great.
Yeah, because I'm really looking more inward now, as opposed to shapes and distinct shapes and things like that. Yeah,
of course. That's great. Thank you, Kayleigh. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Let's go ahead and move on to our second round here, our round 2 of the game. We've got our first question here. Why do medieval castles in Europe have counterclockwise spiral staircases? Interesting. So this is specific to medieval castles in Europe. They have counterclockwise spiral staircases. Why are the spiral staircases headed that way? Kayleigh, I'm coming right back to you. What's your answer here?
Sure. So you had to keep, so you want the spiral going in that counterclockwise direction to keep, it was part of the pomp and circumstance of royalty, where they'd be holding like a staff or some kind of sort of trapping of their status, and that would be on the left. So as you're walking up, that is going to be towards the center, so that people can see that up through the centermost column of the spiral staircase. So it's part of the ceremony and the pomp and circumstance of performative wealth and socioeconomic status.
I see. So they could, if someone were to kind of look down the staircase, they would see that staff right towards the middle.
Right towards the middle.
Makes sense to me, Kayleigh. That seems to really fit the situation. Alani, do you have an answer for me?
I don't know.
At one point, they just felt like doing it because they thought it looked really cool and they wanted to stand out from the other castles and succeeded. They were like, my spiral cases are better than yours, and deal with it.
Yeah. So it sort of just became on trend at the time.
Yeah. They were having spiral staircase competitions, and, they just figured do it counterclockwise, and they ended up winning the spiral staircase competition of 1402. It was amazing.
Wow. Yeah, I believe it. I feel like that's how a lot of architecture happens, is people just saying, I have this idea, I want to be different.
Yeah.
Thanks,
It's usually a man.
We're going to have a spiral staircase house.
Absolutely true. Michelle, give us your answer. What's the deal with these counterclockwise spiral staircases?
So it's actually a combat thing. So when enemies are like coming up the stairs and they're like, oh, I'm gonna kill you all, the defenders of the castle can stand at the top of the stairs and swing freely, because most of them were right-handed, so they don't have any obstructed sword swingingness.
So it was like better for kind of like the defense of the of the castle. I'm trying to picture that, Michelle, and I'm struggling to get a visual on that, but I'm gonna go ahead and believe you, because I don't have any spatial awareness for this. But I'm gonna say that if you're
neither did a lot of the enemies, so it worked.
Yeah, that sounds right. If I were an enemy of the castle, I would never see that coming. Exploding Lobster in the chat says, my cat likes Alani's answer, but Michelle is correct. So,
you know what? Exploding Lobster's cat has had it out for me all game, and I'm starting to get offended.
Oh, no.
This show breeds rivalries. I hate to say it. We like to have a supportive environment here, but it's a cutthroat game sometimes, and cats turn against contestants.
The cat started it. That's all I'm saying.
I understand.
Oh no.
Listen.
Alani, is it your cat?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, if it's your cat, I'll be less offended.
No.
It's like rooting for the home team. But
no, my cats are in Texas with my ex.
Oh.
Sorry, no, I just got really sad.
They're not allowed to watch TV. He's a strict parent, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's supporting their cognitive development.
They probably know about spiral staircases. Yeah.
Yeah, if your cats were here, I would definitely go with them on the answer. We're getting some mixed answers in the chat. I'm gonna go with my own gut here, because there's a lot of support all over the place. And if there's one thing I know about medieval times, which is not a lot, it's that they were all about the royalty. They were all about the money, baby. And I like that Kayleigh's answer was about the kind of the performance of the staff. It makes sense to me why they would want that. I think it checks out. It sounds right. So I'm going to give 5 points to Kayleigh for the staff answer. Big fancy staff. People love to show them off.
That is incorrect misinformation. It was not pomp and circumstance. It was for combat reasons. Michelle was correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well,
get those points back instead of Kayleigh.
You want me to give Michelle points?
Yes, for being correct.
Oh, Will, I have to give points for who sounds right.
Oh.
You don't have to.
Well, it's kind of how I do things. Oh, Will.
Thanks for trying, Will.
Oh man, I always think they're right.
Classic
They're
Will,
not.
actually. Will's been on this show for 6 months. He should know. All right, Kayleigh, you're walking away from that question with another 5 points. Let's go to the next question here. Next question in round 2 is, in 2008, a single cornflake sold on eBay for $1,350. Why was that cornflake so special, and who bought it? All right. Once again on this question, in 2008, a single cornflake sold on eBay for $1,350. Why was this cornflake so special, and who bought it? Brian Michael in the chat says, I remember this cornflake. Okay. Great. Let's hear those answers. Alani, I'm going to come to you first. What is your answer?
This corn chip used to be owned by Justin Timberlake, and he would always eat a bowl of cornflakes before he did a concert with NSYNC, and he just treasured it so much he held on to it one day, and then some crazed fan bought it off of him because they just wanted one of the cornflakes that Justin Timberlake had touched.
That, makes perfect sense. Justin Timberlake was eating these cornflakes in 2008, so this was like the height of Sexy Back, I believe. That was, This seems like the right time.
I couldn't help it.
Great, but yeah.
I'm so sorry. I couldn't help myself.
From the chat, you never forget $1,000 cornflake. Oh gosh, Exploding Lobster in the chat calls it a timber flake. Yeah, we might have to go with Alani on this one with help from Exploding Lobster on that joke. But let's hear Michelle's answer first. Michelle,
and their cat.
Yes.
So Albert Finney in the 80s killed his family.
Oh.
And on the table was a cake that the mom had made for dinner that night. They didn't get to eat it. And it was covered in, it was like decorated, and it was one of the cornflakes from the top of that cake. And Oprah, who was a big true crime fan, bought it.
There was cornflakes on the top of the cake?
Yeah, because the kid, it was his, I think it was his 9th or 10th birthday, and loved cereal. So it was like a cereal decorated cake.
Wow, that's a sad story, but happy for Oprah who got her cornflakes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're as into true crime as Oprah is, it's pretty dope.
That's got to be real.
Honestly, I mean, for the person who has everything, a murder.
What do you get?
Yeah.
Maybe she bought 2, one for her, one for Gail. I don't know about. I do know she bought one for herself, though.
If somebody gifted me a murder cornflake, I'd be like, so are we not friends? What are you doing? I don't want this.
Really? I would be like, are we soulmates?
No, because I don't want to use how. Oh my God.
Yeah, I think I would be troubled.
I'd be upset. I'd be like, bro, you have a problem. Like,
I mean, the person needs to read the room. Don't get me wrong. Like, you don't buy a murder cornflake for just any old person.
Okay. Listen, we need to hear Kylie's answer. Kylie,
like,
what?
We can't even eat it. Sorry. Sorry, I'm gonna stop.
I mean, you can, but it's probably stale.
Oh, don't eat the cornflake. I know it's just a cornflake, but that makes me feel. Now I'll never be able to eat the cornflake. Now that I've heard that story, that cornflake will never taste the same to me. Nobody ever give it to me.
Just stay away from Oprah.
Kylie, what's your answer?
Okay, so
what's this cornflake deal?
We've heard a lot of sort of celebrity hoo-ha nonsense, but the reality is that there were these 2 sisters in Virginia, and they found this cornflake. And they found this cornflake in a box of Frosted Flakes, which are technically just frosted-covered cornflakes. And so it was shaped like the state of Illinois, right? And so then they're like, I think we got something special here. They list this baby on eBay, right? And you know what? Next thing you know, this dude from Texas named Monty, he purchases it for $1,300 and so dollars. And he's doing it for a traveling museum of pop culture artifacts and Americana. And he thinks it's a real special find. So that's why he dished out the dough for that little cornflake. And it's part of his collection of items for his traveling museum of pop culture items in Americana.
Okay. Let me just recap these answers real quick. Let me be clear. These are 3 very different answers. All 3 of them, I think, extremely convincing. We have this cornflake belonged to Justin Timberlake from a cornflake bowl that he was munching on right before a performance. We have it was a cornflake from a cake of a family right before there was a murder situation.
Murder cornflake.
A big family murder was a murder cornflake bought by Oprah. Or it was bought by a guy named Monty as a piece of Americana because it was shaped just like Illinois. Wow. I mean, these are all absolutely wild answers. But you know what? I'm going to go with the answer that sounds the most right to me from what I know about 2008 and what I know about eBay as a website. I'm going to go with the Justin Timberflake.
Okay.
I have to assign points for the Justin Timberflake. That joke alone made it so much more convincing to me. But even before that, this made sense. A fan would want that cornflake.
Would hang on to it like precious cargo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't
they
you agree,
might,
Will?
but fortunately, it's not correct.
Whatever,
two
Will.
sisters from Virginia who sold it to Monty Kerr.
What? Oh my gosh. It was
not
the Monty answer?
It was not the Timberflake. It was the Monty answer.
Oh, a guy named Monty spent that much on an Illinois cornflake. Will, I have a quick question for you. Will, actually, if you knew a cornflake had been in the same room as Justin Timberlake, how much would you spend on it? Around the same amount.
I wouldn't want it cornflake. I'd probably want to get a photo with Justin Timberlake, if anything.
Okay, that's a really reasonable answer, Will.
Yeah.
Really reasonable, as always. Thank you so much for that.
A man.
Will actually. Thank you, Will.
Oh boy.
Thank you, Will.
Uh,
We have one question left in round 2, excuse me. And it is, what color are the sunsets on planet Mars? Really, really easy here. We're just looking for a color. What color are the sunsets on planet Mars? Michelle, I'm coming to you first. What color are the sunsets?
They're green.
Green. Thank you, Michelle. Kayleigh, what color are the
Sorry,
sunsets?
did you want me to elaborate? I can tell you more, but it's green.
You can if you want, but I believe you.
all right.
Kayleigh, what's your answer?
Yeah, they're sulfur yellow.
Sulfur yellow. I assume is it due to sulfur?
You guessed it. The titular sulfur.
Okay. Great. So we've got green, yellow. Alani, what's your answer? What color are the sunsets on Mars?
They're blue, like a summer day in June.
Oh, that's a beautiful
lovely.
answer. That is lovely. Yeah, I have no clue. Are they green? Are they yellow? Are they blue? It's Mars. Mars, I know, is red. I'm going to rule out yellow because I've never heard of sulfur on Mars. Could be there, but I've heard more about like iron on. You know what? I'm going to go with Michelle because in science class, you burn things, and when you burn iron, it's green. That might be true. It might be a guess, but I think that's why Mars is red and the sun is made of fire. It all checks out. This is a science question, so I'm going to go with Michelle because that actually sounds familiar to me. That green sunset from the iron. Does anyone else remember burning things in Tina Talon in the chat says iron burns yellow. Ooh.
Yeah. Tina keeps telling all my secrets.
Did I muff it up again, Will, actually?
Oopsie poopty, you done muffed it up again. It is not that. It is a blue glow.
Oh, like a summer's day?
Yeah.
Oh.
0 for 3 this
That's
round,
good.
misinformation.
You know, I had such a strong first round for Will, actually, giving him all those right answers, all those points for all those right answers. And in this round, I just absolutely gave points where I saw fit. And you know what? That's just how the show goes sometimes. We're going to move on to round 3 in just a second. But first, Alani, is there anything that you want to tell the audience, the chat? Is there anything that you would like them to know about you or what you do?
I do comedy in the DC and Virginia area. And I have a Twitter where you can follow me on. My handle is Alani Kitten. Right now, the tweets that I'm tweeting about the most are people who can't drive and my boyfriend, who's very weird but nice.
Can he drive?
Yes. Yes, I can. It's other people who can't drive, but yeah.
I feel you on that, Alani. Oh, we're going to plug that Twitter one more time. It's at Alani Kitten. Is that right?
Yep.
Fantastic, folks. Follow it up. Let's go to round 3. Round 3, question 1. What movie erased the box office poison epithet from Katherine Hepburn in 1940? And what was the story surrounding it? Okay, that was quite the question. Here we go. What movie erased the box office poison epithet from Katherine Hepburn in 1940, and what was the story surrounding it? So we're looking for what movie, the movie title that erased this, and what's the story here? Perhaps why did they erase it? We're gonna go to Kayleigh first. What movie erased this epithet?
Okay, so I know, let's see, Katherine Hepburn. Yes. We have the story, Philadelphia. It was called Philadelphia Time. And it was a big one. It was sort of her reclaiming a kind of a magnetic presence. And although she had been kind of, I think, rejected, by the public for being sort of unusual, right? Like that was kind of, she, wore a lot of pants, had a lot of pleats in the pants. And so Philadelphia's story, I think she sort of ingratiated herself slightly to the convention of femininity slightly, and yet was still bringing her own unique twist.
Excellent. So Kayleigh, your answer, the movie was called Philadelphia?
Philadelphia Time.
Philadelphia Time. Very nice. Kayleigh, thank you for that answer. Let's go to Alani. Alani, what is your answer?
They just changed it because they weren't feeling the vibes.
They weren't feeling
the vibes.
They were just like, nah.
They scrapped it. They were like, you know what? We can name it something better, something different, something more you, Katherine. And Catherine's like, you're so right, bestie. So they scrapped it.
And what was the title of that movie?
Chicken Little's Coming Home.
It's personally my favorite of all of her films.
Chicken Little's Coming Home.
She was robbed by Gone with the Wind for that Oscar.
Absolutely. We all remember Katherine Hepburn in Chicken Little's Coming Home. Beautiful film. Michelle, what movie?
Actually, Kayleigh was very closely to being correct. It's the Philadelphia Story. And Katherine Hepburn had been. Thank you. Yes. I appreciate your support a lot.
The Philadelphia Story.
Yes. And she had been box office poison because she was in like a bunch of crappy movies like all in a row, and they actually put Cary Grant as top billing on it because they were like, that chick is box office poison. But the character was so feisty but also feminine, and it made people forget about all of her bad movies and how arrogant, because of her pant wearing, she was in real life.
Wow. That's a really exciting answer. It could be either the Philadelphia Time or the Philadelphia Story or Chicken Little Coming Home. But I think based on the chat, based on Alani's enthusiasm, I'm going to go ahead with Michelle here on this one. Seems like a safe answer. Go with the Philadelphia story.
Yeah.
With Katherine Hepburn.
No, I do think it's wild how close Kayleigh got, though. I was like, Kayleigh, the public did hate that she wore pants.
I knew it.
I remember her. I remember my mom. We watched that movie like years ago. So,
yeah. Will, what are you about to say right now? Will, are you frozen?
Is he there?
Chicken Little.
That's correct.
Oh, God. I was in such suspense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness for Will, actually. Will confirmed it was the Philadelphia story.
Yeah.
Story.
And Exploding Lobster is right. Howard Hughes helped get the movie made, and then he gave it back to her.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. What a great story. Let's move on to our second question in the third round, which is, what food was filmmaker Alfred Hitchcock afraid of and why? So, as we all know, Alfred Hitchcock, the famed filmmaker, was afraid of a particular food. What food was Alfred Hitchcock afraid of, and why? Alani, let's hear from you. What food was he afraid of?
Lobster, because at a young age he got pinched by one, and he was very resentful of them. Didn't trust the lobsters. They have those pinchers. I barely trust lobsters. I remember as a kid going in Walmart and seeing like the tanks full of them, and they had their claws taped. That's because they're dangerous. And Albert knew.
That absolutely makes sense. If you're going to be afraid of a food, definitely be afraid of one that can pinch you back.
Yep.
That's my advice. Great answer. Michelle, what is your answer? What food was Alfred Hitchcock afraid of?
He actually was afraid of popcorn, which is ironic because he's like a film guy. But he choked on it and had to be rushed to the hospital when he was a kid.
Poor Alfred. Oh, these childhood memories are haunting him.
And his mama, she had to bring him.
Yeah, that's a scary moment. Kayleigh, what's your answer? What food was Alfred Hitchcock afraid of?
Okay, don't invite Alfred Hitchcock to brunch, because that man hates eggs. That's right.
Wow.
He's terrified of eggs and disgusted and revolted by eggs, and he's actually scared of them, like people are scared of spiders, and it's this thing called ovophobia, to be scared of eggs. And so he says that he hates eggs because they're smooth, and the white part's smooth, and then the yellow part inside is smooth, and there's no holes. He hates that there's no holes, and he hates the color yellow in the yolk. He thinks it's disgusting. He'd rather look at the red of blood. He thinks that's actually kind of fun and cheerful, and the yellow of an egg freaks him the F out.
That's like such a nice yellow color. That's such like a bright, cheerful color inside of an egg.
I don't know.
Listen, Kayleigh, I want you to know that you're getting all the support from people in the chat, and I also want you to know that it's my job on this show to identify who sounds the most right. And this egg idea, it doesn't sound right to me, Kayleigh. Alfred Hitchcock, why would he be afraid of an egg? Eggs can't pinch you back. Eggs can't even scrape your throat like popcorn. Eggs can't even really, I guess the shells can be kind of sharp, but I'm going to go with the answer that sounds the most right, because that's the theme of the show. And I think Alani's answer sounds right, because those foods have claws.
Thank you.
Lobsters have claws that can hurt you. That makes it makes more sense as an answer than an egg, which can only just roll.
Well, actually, here, you know what hurts me? Misinformation when she gives the wrong answer. Egg was the correct one on this round. He was an ovophobe.
He was an ovophobe. Alfred Hitchcock Kayleigh, what did you say about them? They were too smooth, and they had no holes.
There was like an interview in the 60s where he specifically was like, I'm frightened of eggs. I'm worse than frightened of eggs. They revolt me. And then he said that they're round without any holes. He said the lack of holes.
They're round without any
why
holes.
he was scared of them.
I was just thinking about this. He made a movie called The Birds. It was all about being afraid of birds. I wonder what came first.
Yeah.
The egg or the birds?
Chicken Little Goes Home. He was the director. And it was the horror.
It was his first amateur horror movie.
That's horrifying.
Confronting a demon.
Yeah.
Oh,
and Katherine Hepburn was so good in it.
Yeah. All right. We have to wrap this show up, folks. We have one more question in the third round, and then we have a bonus round. Our last question of the last round is, who invented the super soaker? Who invented the super soaker? Of course, is a famous water gun. Who invented this? Michelle, who invented the super soaker?
Do you remember the show Double Dare on Nickelodeon? It was their prop team. So like you have people who like come together and like come up with new events for the show.
Yeah.
They came up with it.
The prop team on Nickelodeon for Double Dare.
Yes.
Great
It
answer.
was by Mark Summers, who was very dreamy.
Okay. Good detail. Good detail. Kayleigh.
That part doesn't matter, but yeah.
Who invented the super soaker?
So, as you know, Super Soaker 64 is the name of it. And so Reggie Carmine was the name of a football player who had number 64. And actually, so after retiring, came up with the Super Soaker for inspired by his children, like as a toy for them. And then he went on Shark Tank, right? And then it became a sort of an entrepreneurial businessman. Pitching with Super Soaker 64, which was his jersey number. Yes, of course. So
Super Soaker 64.
64, yeah, Reggie Carmine.
Reggie Carmine?
Yeah.
A really specific answer, Kayleigh. I like it. Alani, what's your answer? Who invented the super soaker?
It was a retired NASA engineer by the name of Lonnie G. Jackson. And he was bored in space, so he wanted to shoot water at people. I don't really know, but I don't know what his motivation was behind it.
Oh, I love a NASA answer. Oh, I really don't know. These are all three such good answers. I have to go with the chat on this one because the props team for a Nickelodeon show super makes sense. A retired football player super makes sense. And also, everyone loves a NASA answer. Everybody loves the NASA answer. Alani, we have to go with you. Yay! We're giving it to the NASA answer. A retired NASA engineer invented the super soaker.
Will actually here. That's correct.
Wow! Yay! We're finishing up strong, folks. We're about to round out our show here with our bonus lightning round. During the bonus lightning round, the contestants just have 1 second to answer based on a picture that we show them, and the points do not come from me; they come from you in the audience. So we're going to show a few questions here. We're going to get answers from all three of our contestants on each one. And whoever you want to give a bonus point to, just put the name in the chat, and I'm going to take it down on my point sheet here. Just put the name of the person you want to give a bonus point to in the chat. It will decide the winner because it's a very close game. Let's show that first question, Will. Here we go. We're building the suspense.
Did we freeze again?
We're here. We're back. We're here. We're here. Here we go. Let's do this. Alani, what is this?
The 4 elements of the airbenders: earth, air, fire, water.
Absolutely true. Kayleigh, what is this?
So this is a Celtic symbol. It means elder fiend, which is a small imp.
Okay, Michelle, what is this?
It is the reunion tour merch symbol for Earth, Wind, and Fire's tour.
Will, what is this actually?
It is an ambigram from the movie Angels and Demons.
What?
From Angels and Demons. Okay. Obviously. Thank you, everyone.
I didn't see that movie because his hair was bad.
All right, that's fair. Michelle, what is this, Michelle?
This is Eminem's long lost brother, Peanut.
Kayleigh, what is this?
What is it? This is a hip hop songwriter named Little Trisket.
Great, little Trisket. Will, what is this actually?
This is Chet Hanks, Tom Hanks' son.
Oh, gross. What? I don't like him.
Next question. Alani doesn't like him. Take him off the screen. Kayleigh, what show is this?
Gotta spell it all.
Michelle.
It's actually the local mathletes competition.
Okay. Alani, what show is this?
Nerds in Love.
Nerds in Love. We love to see it. Will, what show is this actually?
This is called Academic Challenge from Northeast Ohio.
Okay.
Academic I would say Michelle was actually the closest, I think, on that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, the bonus points for everybody are absolutely rolling in. An extra point to Michelle for accuracy. Thank you, Marissa. Let's get another one more bonus question in here. One more. Let's see. Okay, Alani, what is this?
Definitely not a cicada. It looks like an
Definitely
elephant bug.
Ooh,
Yeah.
an elephant bug.
An
Great
elephant bug.
answer. Kylie, what is this?
It's a spider, a spider witch.
Michelle, what is this?
It's the international humping bee.
Okay. Will, what is this?
It's a boll weevil.
Oh, thank you, Will. That's gonna do it for our bonus round. Oh my gosh, the points are absolutely
Little humping bees.
It's my nickname for those.
Wow. That was very exciting, everybody. Michelle, before we go today, is there anything that you want to share with the audience?
I refinanced my house and now I'm gonna get to redo my bathroom.
Yay!
Congratulations, Michelle. Congratulations, folks.
Thank you so much.
Wow, that was quite the bonus round. This there were so many bonus points flying in, and I have to say there was a big upset for second place. Kayleigh, you pulled from last place right up just barely into second place, but beating you by just a couple points is going to be Alani pulling into first place. First place, Alani. Congratulations. Yay. Amazing work.
Thanks.
You absolutely sounded the most right tonight, which means that you're going to be awarded a degree from 2MB University. Congratulations on your graduation tonight.
Finally done with college.
You're all done.
Thank
You've
God.
done it. Michelle and Kayleigh, thank you so much for coming on. Will, thank you so much as always. Chat, thank you for being here. We'll see you next week at 7 p.m. Stay tuned for Poof, the Magical Game Show starting right now. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.